Would you believe me if I told you that becoming a millionaire is far easier than it appears if only you first train your mind to think like one? What if I say that most people fail not because they lack opportunity, but because they have not yet developed the inner blueprint required to receive and retain wealth? This is the tragedy of the modern man. He chases riches, hustles for recognition, and searches the world for the shortcut to success, all while neglecting the single most powerful tool he possesses, his mind. You see, the road to becoming a millionaire does not begin with money. It begins with mentality, with the decision to take full responsibility for how you think, how you act, and what you allow into the sacred space of your consciousness. A man may stumble into money. He may win a fortune, inherit a windfall, even strike gold in a lucky venture. But if his mind is not conditioned to handle it, to multiply it, to respect and manage it, that wealth will evaporate like water in the sun. Fortune favors not only the bold, it favors the ready. The man who has built the internal structure, the discipline, and the belief system to sustain greatness before it arrives. This is where your journey must begin. Not with more effort, not with more hustle, but with higher thinking, with the silent, steady development of a mind that already carries the identity of a millionaire, even if the numbers have yet to catch up. Because when the mind believes, the body obeys. When the mind aligns, the behavior follows. And when thought becomes congruent with vision, the result becomes inevitable. The first law of the millionaire mindset is this: you do not wait to have money to think richly. You think richly to become the man who naturally attracts money. This is not wishful thinking. It is a psychological and spiritual truth. You are always becoming what you consistently think about. Your dominant thoughts are a prophecy in motion. They shape your perception, your confidence, your decisions, and ultimately your destiny. So what are you thinking about? Are your thoughts centered on possibility or limitation? Do you dwell on what's missing or on what's possible? Are your daily mental repetitions reinforcing discipline or distraction? The man who becomes wealthy does not entertain poverty in his thoughts. He may have grown up in lack. He may have known hunger. But he refuses to allow scarcity to take root in his belief system. This is the second law. Your environment may have shaped you, but it is your decision whether it defines you. The man who becomes wealthy in thought first must break free from the mental chains of his past. He must look at the story he's inherited, the fears, the excuses, the patterns, and decide. That ends with me. He must take control of the narrative that plays on repeat in his mind and rewrite it with boldness and clarity. The third law of the millionaire mind is discipline. Not occasional bursts of motivation, not spasms of inspiration. Daily discipline. The kind of discipline that is invisible to the outside world but undeniable in its results. A millionaire mind wakes up early, not to prove a point, but to own the day before it owns him. He reads not for entertainment, but for elevation. He plans not because he likes structure, but because he understands that freedom is born from order. You do not fall into wealth. You design your way into it. The world will offer you distractions. It will try to seduce you with noise, trends, and temptations. But the millionaire mind filters all of it through one question. Does this move me closer to who I'm becoming? And if the answer is no, he cuts it off without apology. Because when you're building something of value, you cannot afford to entertain what does not align. This is the discipline of subtraction, of removing what no longer serves the vision. Toxic people, aimless habits, time-wasting conversations. The millionaire mind is not a collector of information. It is a curator of value. It focuses on what matters and eliminates what doesn't, because clarity is not something you find, it's something you create. You create it by saying no. No to overexposure. No to comparison. No to the need for validation. no to shallow ambition, and yes to deep becoming. This is not about impressing others. This is about impressing upon yourself that you are no longer available for mediocrity, that you refuse to participate in your own delay, that you are no longer waiting for conditions to be perfect because you are committed to becoming perfect in your preparation. That preparation begins with thought, but it continues with execution. The millionaire mindset is not passive. It is not just belief. It is belief in motion. It moves. It decides. It takes action. And it learns through failure. The man who becomes wealthy in mind does not fear failure. He expects it. He welcomes it because he understands that every stumble sharpens his strategy. Every setback reveals a flaw in his thinking, and every failure brings him one step closer to mastery. This is the fourth law, resilience. The ability to remain faithful to your vision even when reality doesn't yet reflect it. The power to stand firm when the scoreboard shows 0. The courage to keep building when no one believes, no one claps, and nothing seems to be working. That is the grit required to carry a millionaire mind. Because before the results show up externally, they must be earned internally. How do you earn them? By managing your internal state, by refusing to let your emotions drive your decisions. The man who develops a millionaire mindset does not operate based on feeling. He operates based on standards. He shows up when it's hard. He stays calm when it's chaotic. He finishes when it's tempting to quit. He treats every single hour as an investment, not because he's obsessed with money, but because he understands the value of momentum. This is the fifth law, direction over distraction. Most people live in response. They respond to notifications, to emotions, to other people's urgency. But the man with the millionaire mind creates direction. He doesn't respond, he leads. His day doesn't happen to him. He commands it. And because he has trained his focus, he accomplishes more in a single hour than most do in an entire day. And it's not just about productivity, it's about power, inner power. The power of a man who has mastered his impulses. Who doesn't flinch under pressure? Who doesn't look around for permission, but within for purpose? That power cannot be faked. It cannot be borrowed. It must be built. And so he builds brick by brick, thought by thought, habit by habit. While others complain, he constructs. While others react, he refines. While others scroll, he studies. While others drift, he directs. Until one day, the outer begins to reflect the inner. The results catch up with the belief. The bank account aligns with the identity. And the man who once seemed unreasonable is now undeniable. This is the reward of the millionaire mindset. Not just financial gain, but personal mastery. Because when you train your mind to operate at a higher frequency, everything in your life must elevate to meet it. Your relationships shift. Your language sharpens. Your choices align. Your confidence grows, not because you've reached the top, but because you've learned to think like a man who belongs there. You'll notice that you no longer explain yourself. You don't need to. Your focus speaks louder than your words. Your actions testify to your discipline. Your life becomes a sermon preached not with noise, but with consistency. And those around you begin to feel the difference. They ask, what changed? They ask for your secret. But there is no secret, only a choice. To think differently, to believe deeper, to act daily. To become the man who doesn't need to chase wealth, because wealth now chases him. Not because he's lucky, because he's ready. Because he trained his mind before he tried to earn the money. Because he paid the price in thought before he ever received the reward in form. And now, the form must follow the foundation. It's law. The foundation is invisible to the world, but it is everything. You cannot see a man's thoughts but they build the architecture of his future. You cannot measure his daily inner conversations, but they determine the strength of every action he will take. And so, the man who intends to be a millionaire must first become a master of what he thinks when no one is watching. He must train his inner dialogue like an athlete trains his body, consistently, ruthlessly, and without excuses. He does not think thoughts of scarcity because he knows those thoughts repel wealth. He does not allow room for self-pity because he knows that self-pity is a silent poison. He does not say things like someday because his life is governed by commitment, not someday dreams. He uses his words with intention, not only outwardly but within, because he understands that words are seeds and his mind is the soil. Speak doubt and doubt will grow. Speak strength and strength will form roots. The man who develops the millionaire mindset repeats certain truths to himself until they become permanent. I do not wait. I initiate. I do not complain. I convert. I do not fear. I face. These are not affirmations spoken once. They are declarations carved into identity through daily repetition and daily action.